tuned to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. Blessed morning once again. Boys, pure World Cup attack. On and off air. Pure World Cup. You know, Dudley's in the house, our sports editor. And of course, Owen is feeling a little down because of the Argentina loss yesterday. But it'll pick up. It's not over. It's not over. So yesterday we weren't able to have this interview, very important interview, because of technical difficulties. And so this morning I'm excited to know that we were able to still bring it back on. And so we're going to be speaking to Oberlin Smith-White, ODJP, retired superintendent of police, author, Paul Harris Peace Fellow, and presenter of the Rising Above Our Hurt, a 16-week social change initiative on domestic violence against with children at Mayday High School. And of course, the initiative was launched on October 28. I'll also be speaking to, and very happy to have, retired Deputy Commissioner of Police Novelet Grant. Previously acted as the Commissioner of Police, was in charge of Area 5 Headquarters, Police Staff College, Professional Standard Branch, and the Police Corporate Standard Departments. She's now working with social groups to drive domestic violence intervention and awareness programs through workshops and training, continuing the service she's been giving for the last 20 years. And of course, she's going to be guest speaker at the presentation coming up on Thursday on domestic violence that Oberlin Smith-White is hosting. And of course, they've been having some real great, I think it's 2 weeks in now that they had the launch, and then 2 weeks, we'll find out from Oberlin. Good morning. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, sis.
Hey, good morning. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm great.
Wonderful. And of course, it's great to have you. Novelet Grant, it's always good to have you. I really also just fully enjoyed when you were in studio, yourself and Oberlin, and you know, all of you wonderful persons that brought great information. And I'm hoping that we can get back to that time when we can do that, you know, have you in studio. But we give thanks for today. We're zooming in. All right, so we just have to work with the Zoom. You know, am I going to see your beautiful faces?
See you.
What was that, Miss Grant?
Yes, I can see you.
But I'm not seeing you. All right, now we're talking. I want to see you guys' beautiful faces. And I know,
you know that I have an issue. I that is not.
You need to have Owen fix that. Owen needs to fix that for you. Yeah, we need to have OB
because
fix that.
I can't get the time to slow down to hand my phone to somebody.
I know, you know, you guys are just so very busy, but busy in such a great way. So, you know, as usual, Oberlin, I'm going to ask you to give us a synopsis, you know, on the initiative that you're doing, and then we can talk. We just have a little time, but we probably have to do it again because this topic is so very important, domestic violence. So go ahead, Oberlin, and talk to us about the initiative, and then we can bring in Ms. Grant as well about the whole presentation coming up.
Well, Rising Above Our Hurt is a social change initiative starting at the Mayday High School. Now I recognize that another school in Manchester, 2 other schools in Manchester are asking for it. Alphonsus Davis High School, and I don't remember the name of the other school, but when I'm finished with Mayday. But we all recognize that domestic violence is having a very negative impact on our children. Children are becoming violent because of the violence they see at home. So because I am I'm through Novelet, I am doing a peace and development certificate course at Chulalongkorn University. And I have to do a social change as part of the course. Instead of writing a thesis, I have to do something practical. So my social change is to work with children and their parents, because what children see at home, this is what they take into the community, into the society.
Did you come up with the idea?
All failing our failing our children.
Did you also
school? Yeah.
Did you come up with the idea of having not just the children alone, but the parents as well? I think that is just a novel idea.
Yes, because it comes out of the inclusiveness. That's a part of the course.
Okay.
Because if a part of the society is not well, the entire society won't be well. So it comes out of the course that I'm doing. You know, this inclusiveness.
Yes.
So to include the children, because you train the children and they go home. Because as I said before, some time ago I had a domestic violence session with boys.
With who?
And
You,
at the end of the session, one boy said he didn't want to go back home because he was now aware of violence,
yeah.
but he's going back home to violence.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then the idea of having both children and parents in the
I
same
think it's
space,
awesome. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
learn about violence and the impact of violence
Of course.
on the children.
Of course. Yes.
So we started on the 28th of last month. That was when we had the launch.
Mm-hmm.
And now this week, Navlet will come in to do domestic violence. She is the foundation, I should say, for want
Right.
of a better
And she
word,
was at the
of
was she
domestic
was she at the
violence.
launch as
She
well?
has been doing it for I said, for want of a better word, she is the foundation of
Yeah.
domestic violence in the JCF, and now
Yes.
she's out of the JCF, and she continue to uh, bring awareness
Mm-hmm.
to domestic
With, okay, you're breaking up. I hope that doesn't happen throughout.
violence to
Yeah.
the entire society.
Yeah. It is really very critical and crucial, and I like the word foundation. I really do. And ever since I've known Miss Grant, even in her other capacities, but whenever I see her, I always think of her in those terms. So Miss Grant, talk to us a bit more about that and how about this particular initiative and where we're going on Thursday in terms of the presentation, because I mean, hey, this is all over Jamaica right now in terms of what we're experiencing, especially coming out of the pandemic.
I want Miss Grant to talk about
Yep.
the presentation because I don't.
You're breaking up. Oberlin.
Yeah. Well, all right, Obi, don't worry yourself because we wouldn't come on here to talk
As I
about
said, I would want Navlet to
No.
highlight about what she's going to talk because we have not yet discussed.
No, man.
what
Okay,
is
but we're
special.
talking about
It is with children and parents. So I
right.
think
We're talking
she's
about domestic
carrying it.
violence. Yeah, we're talking about domestic violence. It's a very broad, concept. But go ahead, Miss Grant.
Yeah, all right. Morning again, everyone. Morning, Obi. So we have been doing this work for over 20 years,
Right.
obviously, and we have had all kinds of iteration of how we deal with domestic violence.
Mhm.
We had a program that we call Youth Empowerment and Mentorship for kids in school, high schoolers. I ran that while I was in the JCF.
Right.
And of course, we ensure that teachers and parents and community members were involved. We got people like social workers and our parents, you name it, who provide some of the understanding. What is good was that many of the parents
I'm not
recognize that
hearing
they
anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am on. Are you hearing me? Isis Oberlin is not
Yeah, I'm
hearing me.
hearing you, but I think I just did something. I think Oberlin will to hear now. Are you gonna hear Oberlin? Listen.
Oberlin, are you hearing me now? Obi, are you there? Right. In the interest of time, she will get back in, I hope. Right. So the understanding is that domestic violence, researchers are now finding out and making a link that of the contribution to community violence by domestic violence, because when you grow up in a violent environment, when you are socialized a particular way, that is how you come out and deal with issues. So when you look at things like bullying in schools, that to a large extent has to do with how children are socialized, whether they are taught to respect other people, whether they are taught to be kind, or whether they are taught that they should fight for everything. When we don't teach them how to resolve simple, basic interpersonal conflict in the home, when we don't teach them how to forgive, and when we don't teach them how to accept forgiveness, obviously, we ensure that they have this anger and hurt that grows and grows and grows with each negative encounter. We find children who say that they don't trust anybody, they don't believe in friendship. We have kids who really, when we, for example, running our previous programs, and we said to parents, tell your child you love them. Most parents find it very difficult. It was a very hard hill for them to
A
climb.
basic thing like that, just saying I love you, and it was difficult.
Yeah,
Wow.
basic thing like giving your child a hug was also very difficult. And so when you recognize how disconnected the homes are in terms of the parents and the children, they can't forge healthy relationship because there are just too many gaps in the interaction, and too much of it is harmful, hurtful, and the children are not able to find their own self-esteem. They are not able to find their self-worth, and they are not able to see it in other people. So the aggression is too much. I mean, we go through that in our developmental stages as little kiddies, but we are supposed to be guided out of it by our parents. What we're
But
finding is that too many kids are encouraged by parents to damage other kids,
right,
to
right.
fight. And when you have parents who
They're
turn up
fighting
in
too.
public
I'm
spaces
sure you heard about
and
it, Miss Grant. Yeah, up to yesterday,
physically,
there was a parent that went to school and had a big altercation with a teacher who wouldn't return the phone of her child, and there was a big altercation. Now, what
yeah,
example are we setting?
yes. So these are the kind of things that parents are modeling and are intentionally teaching their children to do, while at the same time they are abusive to the child. So they come out and give the impression that they are protecting their children, they are teaching them to stand up for themselves, but they end up abusing the child in that process, and the child just bring that out in the community, and especially the school community. So those are some of the issues we want to really raise with parents about what it means to help your child based on your communication, the language you use, the examples you set, and how the neglect and the abuse and the physical abuse and the sexual abuse and all of those things come together to create children who parents then turn up ISIS at, in our experience as police, they start to turn up with them at 12, 13 to tell you at the police station, check them, we can't manage them.
Oh dear. So what
Yeah,
happens in
so
a case like that, Miss Grant, when that situation arises? Because they're there. That is a. I mean, they're there with a child. Where do you go from there in that particular
yeah,
situation?
now, obviously there has to be some investigation. And back in the day, because I saw that from I was a young cop, right? From I was a rookie. So it's not a new phenomenon. It has been going on for years. Nowadays we have the child protection and family service to call on and so on. So back in the day, it was largely the police alone. There are a few agencies around now that we can call, get into an investigation to find out what is happening. What I would love to see is for us, there are lots of people who go to universities in Jamaica and come out with social work degrees, training in that field, but we are not seeing enough of them in schools. We are not seeing enough of them in communities. So that is also part of what we need to help our children, because teachers alone can't do it.
Yeah.
The police alone can't do it. So until we have a coordinated community response to things like domestic violence, youth violence, school-based violence, then we are going to be stuck, because
But I'm
one of the
hearing
dilemmas facing school is the number of gangs that are emerging and
precisely.
have
Yeah.
emerged in school.
Yeah.
And these gangs are not just with boys, they are also with girls. One of the really worrying trend for me is that the kind of aggressiveness that used to be kind of totally male, in a way where we talk about male aggression, I am now seeing it in girls to a worrying degree, and it is something we need to address. And a lot of it has to do with parental influence. Either we have two parents who are too indulgent and permissive, or we have parents who are too authoritarian and strict. So we create all kinds of problems. And then the
monsters is
adults
what
that
we
we
do. Yeah.
interact with in the community and the schools, they are also piling on the same set of ingredients that are creating the kind of toxic behavior that we are seeing in our
So
youth
so you're
and even
saying
for the next generation.
so you're saying that we need to have more social workers in schools. I'm hearing now that they have more social workers in the police stations. Is that so? I'm
I'm
hearing
not
that.
aware of that. I'm
I
not
think
aware
I
of
heard
any social
Owen.
workers at police
I
stations.
think St.
I don't
Andrew
know. I
South
can't
Beat.
speak to that. I don't know.
I think I heard St. Andrew South Beat. I'm almost sure that that was mentioned. They have a regular program that comes on a Thursday. Oh, and do you recall it? Remember hearing that? I think I heard Sergeant Lang saying that it is improving in terms of they're having social workers now in the police stations. I'm hoping
Can't
that
speak to
I
that.
hope I'm
Can't speak to
right.
that.
I'm hope I'm right. I'll check with her when they come in on Thursday. But the next question I want to ask you before we go back to Oberlin before we close is how are we really are you able, based on the work that you're doing, are we able to really get through to the parents? Because what Oberlin is doing with that particular initiative is a one-off, as far as I know, and she's doing excellently with that. But in general, how are we relating and getting to the parents though? Because that is a
Well,
big issue.
well, well, when I do workshops, for example, we have an instrument that we give every participant in the workshops. And most people who come to workshops are parents, grandparents, and so on. And my feedback over the last 20 odd years of using that instrument is for people, for the most part, to ask for extra copies to be able to go home and have the kind of conversation with their families about abuse. That is the start. We have had some young persons too who have actually gone home and had the conversation about their experiences of abuse. So in a way, even though you might not necessarily, over the many years, we have not been able to consistently have parent and children in the same spaces. But I know that where I have had them, I have seen the impact of the children themselves, even amongst the school participants that we had in the past. They have been able to go home and have frank conversation and discussion with parents who are in conflict with community members. And the kids will say, look
Really,
here,
that's
enough of this.
excellent.
We
Yeah.
don't want this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have some change. So not all parents are resistant. Some of them are open because there's a lot of ignorance in the perspective of lack of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
that is driving some of the behaviors. And when the light bulb will go off, I you hear them saying, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
I should have heard this long ago.
Right,
So
right.
I think what our challenge is a lack of coordination amongst all the various groups of
Yeah,
persons who are doing work in
yeah.
communities,
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to put out more of the kind of initiatives that we have, because funding
Is
is
a
a
big
major issue
problem.
where that
Yeah.
is concerned.
Yes, yes. Well, Oberlin, you might just want to give a synopsis also about how successful last Thursday was as you move into Thursday coming. We met and we were very impressed by what took place. You can just give us a little idea so people can understand that, yes, good things are happening at Mayday High and a couple other schools as well. People are calling you to go to other schools. Go ahead, Oberlin.
I can hardly hear you. So let
You're,
me
ha-
see if I can
you're,
respond based on what I heard.
you're,
Yes,
mhm.
since we are in Mayday High School, yes, we have been getting calls. As a matter of fact, I mentioned one school, and Francis Davis, who said they are jealous. As a matter of fact, they are saying that they have 100 students,
Wow.
which they would want the same type of initiative with.
Yes.
But it, as I said before, it takes cash to care.
Of course, the
So
funding
we
is an
couldn't have
issue.
100 students at one time,
Mm-hmm.
and we would really want to reach the parents and the students. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if having 100 would really make
Be
that big
effective.
of an impact,
Yes,
because
yes.
anything that we do, we want it to be impactful,
Of
you
course,
know.
of course.
And the parents that are coming, yes, they are committed, and they have responded because we have formed a WhatsApp group,
Mm-hmm.
and each week they have responded to say how good the session was. As a matter of fact,
Excellent.
last week's session we did human library,
Mm-hmm.
and the children followed Astro,
Astro.
from Creative for Peace, because he
Yes,
was one of our presenter,
yes.
and they wanted to know more about Astro, and they wanted
Mm-hmm.
to know more about where he's coming from,
Right.
you know, and they wanted to go
To
to
Trenchtown.
Trenchtown.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a very good session, and I know that Thursday coming will be very good also, because I know that Miss Grant is
Oh,
master at
yes.
her craft,
Oh,
and
yes. Oh, yes.
she will get through to them. So at the end of this week we are doing 5 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I am really heartened by what I see so far.
So what is the particular theme? It's domestic violence for this Thursday, right?
It's domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
introduction to domestic violence.
Violence,
Yes,
right?
for this
But
Thursday,
but
right?
you had mentioned to me also that the first week the youth weren't very communicative, but then a week after or last week and so much more communication coming from the youth and the parents as well.
Yeah, the parents they were very communicative from the beginning. It was
Okay.
the children, but no, yes, they are talking and asking questions. Yes.
Mm. So you're going to go into the fourth week now, and you're going to take a little break and then move into the new year. You're going to take a break for the
We're going
holidays.
to take a break in December. I think it's about the 12th of December.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come back into the new year for the final lap.
Okay, okay. So, if there are persons, I know you're kind of inundated already, but if there are persons that need to get in contact with you, because the Kingston schools are gonna get jealous, So nobody thinks you're gonna stay in our country for the whole time. Happy for them and all of that, but I know that people at Kingston schools are gonna want to also be a part of this initiative. How can persons reach you?
And my number is 876-2683.
Okay. Say it again, please.
876-2683.
Okay, great.
And I am so very grateful to what's her name who caused Astra to come. What I don't remember.
You mean for Creators for Peace, Paula Surtees?
Paula? Yeah, Paula.
Yeah, Paula.
For Creators for
Yes.
Peace, yes.
Oh, yes. And they're doing a very good job every Friday at Island Coffee's Cafe on the waterfront, where they're utilizing youth from the inner city who are talented. And I mean, I'm hearing some talent there and seeing some talent down there. That's totally amazing, So that is also a part of the conscious reggae movement, and we're working together to make things happen and make changes come about. So, Miss Grant, in closing, please. Parents are listening, students are listening. The irony is with all that's going on, it is indeed Parent Month. It is indeed Youth Month. It's Community Month. There's so many themes this month, and sometimes we hear some weird stories.
And it's the internet and the 16 days of activism for violence against women starts on the 25th. So everything is coming in.
Okay.
We had International Men's Day on the 19th.
Yes.
So there's just so many things. Yes.
Right. So how can persons reach you?
Oh, I can be reached on 809-2140.
809-2140. All right. So a closing comment from you, though, overall comment on domestic abuse. We'd like to hear that.
Well, I am happy that Oberlin has taken, what she has picked up over the last 10 or more years on domestic
You being
violence.
her mentor.
She used to be at our youth empowerment sessions.
Right.
So she's pulled all of that together with what she's learning on the Peace Fellowship, and has created a program that is beneficial and that is needed. One of the things that I always say to people, that our youth, our children, are willing to listen to us if we also are willing to listen to them. And part of the message going forward is for us to recognize that there are resources, persons out there who are willing to share knowledge with you. Community groups can organize themselves, find venues, organize themselves, and reach out. And it doesn't have to be a full day. It doesn't have to be a 2-day workshop like we normally do. It can be a few hours, and you can get enough information that can set you on a path, on a journey of learning to change your life, change your thinking, change your life, change your relationship, create more peaceful homes, help our youth to become peace leaders rather than become warriors, because we are teaching them to be warriors. And all of the things that we're teaching them are pushing them into gang and gang warfare and community violence. And it is coming directly out of the home, from the home to the schools, and then out into the wider community. When I was in the police force and I went around the island, and a lot of community members would point out to me that some of the gang violence that we're seeing in the street, all of it came out of the school. That is where they started. So some of these gangs are around for many decades. But the fact of the matter, new members are being
younger
groomed
persons
in
are
schools
recruited
and are coming out. So everybody can come together at the local level and start organize and ask for the kind of support that they need to educate our kids to become peace leaders rather than gang leaders.
Thank you so much, Miss Grant. Thank you so much for that. Please keep up the great work. We just need to have you on routes more often. I'll work on getting that done. And also, Oberlin, thank you so much for your initiative. It's great, and I'm happy to be a part of it as well. I'm looking forward to come down there one Thursday, and see everything in full force. So, ladies, thank you. Have a great day, and thanks for coming on today. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Thank
you
you for
too.
having them.
All the best.
All the
Keep
best.
safe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Take
And
care.
Oberlin, see you on Thursday. I don't know where I had
Okay.
it tonight that it was Friday, but there you
Okay.
go.
See.
All right.
All right.
Take
Yeah.
care. Take care. All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Wow. Very positive, powerful program there, Owen. As usual, when we get the two together like a Oberlin Smith White, and also, oh my gosh, I tell you, Novelet Grant. It's a powerhouse, and of course, the topic being domestic violence. Oberlin continuing her initiative at Mayday High School in Mandeville, and it is rising above our hurt, and a lot of us are indeed hurting. All right, thank you so much for being a part of this program.